just don't see it any other way. I'm too weak to make the climb. I need a miracle this time. That's when.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in town in Geraldine, Alabama. Your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications. You can also find us on North Alabama Television, and that's channel 182 on Charter Communications, as well as Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. So again, thank you so much for watching. There's a lady that I grew up with, and her name was Malene Wade. And Malene made this amazing, we called it Beanie Burger. And she would just insist we come to her house every single Sunday after church. And so we would go and she would say, now what do you kids want me to make? Well, we all would say Beanie Burger, because I'm going to tell woman you how to make it. Now I'm going to make just a little bit different than she did, because I've got some dry herbs and some fresh herbs that I would like to use while I'm making this as well. So you just hang in there just for a few seconds. And I wanted to explain something else to you. One of our sponsors is Lone Tree Ranch, and Lone Tree Ranch is out of Collinsville. They own their own farm. They have this awesome herd of cattle. Everything is fed naturally. There's no chemicals used on the grass or anything like that. So you can feel assured you're getting the best beef possible. So this is where we buy all of our beef. Now you can buy either half or you can buy whole, and or you can go with a friend if you have several friends. Maybe you just don't have a lot of room in your freezer, but you'd like to have some really good quality beef. Go in with your friends and give them a call. The telephone number is 256-523-6462. You'll be really happy that you did. I love their ground beef. It's super good, and their steaks, I've told you about how I cook the steaks. We like ours well done, so what we'll do is pan sear it for about 5 minutes on each side for the steaks. And then after that, we're going ahead and put it in the oven, which is my grandmother's oven. And by the way, this was like in the 1960s when she had this oven right here, and it still works. It's just like a charm. But the ground beef is also awesome. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how red this meat is. So this is the ground beef. And we got enough in the freezer to last a long time. Make sure you get everything out. I'll take all that good juicy stuff right there, and I'll put it right up here to the side and get it out of the way. I like my wooden spoons, y'all know that. And I really like this one. It's got kind of a little angle to it, which is really cool when you're cooking beef and that kind of thing. And I like it because if I leave it in the skillet, and by the way, use an iron skillet when doing this. It just, I don't know, it's just something that's better about it when you use an iron skillet. Now you're going to see, it doesn't take a long time for this beef to cook. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead, I'm going to brown it, and I'm going to make this little puddle in the middle of it. After I go ahead, see it's still frozen in some sections, but no worries, we're going to go ahead and get this ready. Now another thing I wanted to mention to you as well is, if you're like me sometimes and you forget to lay the ground beef out, or you forget any of your meats, and you want to go ahead and cook it, you can thaw it out in the microwave, but now there's a system to it, so make sure you're really careful on how you do this. So my system would be that I would put this in a plate, you know, anything that's microwave proof, oven proof, whatever, put it on a plate, put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds, and do this in 30-second intervals. And if you do it in 30-second intervals, you'll find that you're not going to have tough beef. I've done this before, okay? So if you put it in too long, you know, it's going to make it kind of rubbery-like. If you'll just do 30-second intervals. And then just let it rest. You know, you've heard people say let their food rest. You want to let this rest for sure. And let it rest, and you got some good stuff there. Okay, see, it's already crumbling up. And that's basically what you want to do. You want to crumble it. And I can't wait to show you there's just not much grease in this. And that's another thing I love about Lone Tree Ranch. And it's just how they take care of the happy cows. And it's just something about the meat coming together, you know? So if you could see, I'm going to get my pot holder. Since I'm using an iron skillet I really need to use this one. And you can see it's boiling, and there is very little grease in that. You know, nothing is worse than to spend a whole bunch of money on food, and especially beef when you buy it at some places. I'm not knocking anybody, I'm just saying, if you want good quality beef, again, it's Lone Tree Ranch. I'm going to say that several times. I want that to go through your head. I want you to buy your beef from them. Now, it takes a little, see, because everything is done fresh. And so I had to wait about a week on mine. They take it to the processor for you. And again, you're getting a good price on this beef as well. Okay, I'm still going to kind of let it get there in the middle of the stove eye. Okay, now I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to move some of this beef over to the side. Now we don't want to see any red, okay? We want it to cook all the way through. So what I'm going to do, I have some chopped minced onion, and I like mine real minced. I'm talking, and then you want to, if there's any of the water left over from the onion, because I mean an onion is basically part water too. I'd go ahead and leave that water in there. It's just going to add to the flavor. So what I'm going to do is kind of saute the onions at the same time I'm cooking the beef. And we're going to add more herbs to it as well. Now once I brown this beef, I'll go ahead and brown it. And so right here we're sauteing the onions. It's just really good that way. And I'm getting the meat flavors in the sauteed onions while I'm cooking the beef. So you're kind of cutting a step there. You know, we all get tired. You know, we got a lot of stuff we got to do. We come in. If you got kids, you got to help them with their homework, or you know, and talk to the hubby or the wife and see how their day went. Got to have some family time, okay? And that's one thing Phil and I have always tried to do since we've been married. Is, you know, there have been times that I'd be on one side of wherever and he'd be on the other side. Sometimes you just can't help that. But the one thing that, or the two things we actually like to do, we like to have breakfast together and we like to have supper together. Now, I will admit, I like to watch the Wheel of Fortune when I'm having my supper. You got to keep your mind going, huh? Okay, so I'm sauteing those onions. Everything is smelling good. Pretty cool. Now, what we'll do is put this meat in a colander. For just a few seconds. But this is the famous Beanie burger that Malene used to make. They went up on Cheahaw Mountain. Yeah, in Talladega County. I used to love to go up there. And her husband, Lester, I have some great memories with him. Her husband, Lester, would fish. He loved it. I guess that's where I got it from. I love to fish. So he would fish, and I would say, what kind of fish is that? He'd say, well, it just depends. And I'd say, depends on what? He'd say, it's either crappie or crappie. And I'd say, well, which is it? And he'd say, which would you rather call it? Some people call it crappie, some people call it crappie. I'd say, was it a little more formal to say crappie? And he called me Leslie for some reason. Okay, here we go, and we're getting this stuff ready. It's just going to taste super awesome. And I'll tell you what, buy your beef at Lone Tree Ranch, but buy your other groceries at Albertville Foodland. They're small, home-owned. Now, I say small, they still have a lot of stores, but they're big enough where they can get some good deals on their food, because they also own a distributor center. But then they're also small enough where they take care of their customers, and I really like that. You know, customer service is number one with me. I been known to pay just a little bit more because the customer service of the company is awesome. Okay, I'm going to move my copper kettle out of the way. We're going to add a few more ingredients. Okay, here are my chives, and these come from my garden. I'm going to add them in there. We got onions, and we're adding chives. I'd like for these chives and the rest of the herbs to go ahead and cook while I've got the meat in here. And I've got my scissors that I use only for herbs, okay? I don't use them for anything else. There we go. I'm cutting it up. Things up in kind of small pieces. Kind of like that. Maybe little 1/4-inch pieces. If you accidentally do a 1/2 inch, that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. And I'm going to be ready to stir it. Just turn it down just a bit. You can hear that sizzling, and I'm going to tell you it smells awesome. There was a time I would never put ground beef in the freezer. I just didn't like the smell of it, you know. But this beef is awesome, so you don't have to do that. Now, what I'm putting in at this point is sage. This is my sage that I grow out on the deck. And there's a little stem in there. I don't know if you can see that. A little stem. It wouldn't hurt a thing. I just like to take the stem out. And I save all this stuff for the chickens. Chickens love it. Okay, and also I have, I'll go ahead and put this down and show you the rosemary. I love rosemary. And rosemary is a little bit woody, and I'm going to put just a little bit of that. So I'm going to tell you, rosemary can be overpowering if you use too much of it. So just a tiny little sprig of that will do its thing. All right, let's go on ahead and cut up our sage. And by the way, if you ever grow your own sage, you'll never buy it in a can again. You just won't do it. You'll be a little bit snobby, and you'll say, nah, I don't think so. Okay, and I'm cutting that up in smaller pieces as well. Okay. There we go. Let's just put that over to the side. I'm going to move this out of the way. And let's turn this down really, really low. You know what? I'm not even going to drain this. There's just not enough grease in it. Pretty cool, don't you think? This is just plain old ground beef. Everybody who ever knew Malene knew about the Beanie Burger. And when we would have events at church, that's what she was known for, the Beanie Burger. People would say, where's Malene's Beanie Burger? Okay, now I'm going to use, and I believe this is what she used, about a 1/2 cup of barbecue sauce. And Melinda, Jerry, Ricky, Tommy, if any of y'all are watching this, let me know if y'all know exactly what she used, because I would really like her to taste exactly like hers. For kids. Okay, and then another 1/2 cup of ketchup. And I'll have to tell you, the Foodland, Albertville Foodland Plus, their store brand of ketchup, all those are really good. Now, I'm going to show you a little technique I use. I can't waste anything. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of water. I'll be right back in a second. I'm going to run to the sink. Be right back. Okay, now keep in mind, these measurements are not exact, okay? I'm a country cooker. Okay, so I'm going to add a little water. But see how there was a little bit of the barbecue sauce residue? I'm mixing. I went on ahead and just poured the water in this little bowl. And then I'm going to pour this into the bowl where the ketchup was. See, that way we're not going to waste anything. And I'm pretty sure Malene would be real proud of this. See all that nice juiciness that we would have lost out on? You have to be really thrifty with your stuff. Now, we need to pour this down in here because it's really thick. And I want to cook it a few more minutes. So we're going to cook this stuff down, okay? All right, let's go ahead and turn this back up again. And I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit more water in this bowl as well. I mean, this is awesome. Like, if there's any grease in there, it's about a tablespoon. I'll be right back. Now I'm going to run to the pantry, and I'm going to find a can of beans. Now you can use navy beans, you can use lima, you can use pinto beans, you can use pork and beans, you can use whatever you got on hand. It does not have to be pork and beans, because I think she did it several different ways as well. Just whatever you got on hand. Don't fret. Somebody's coming over to your house. This is a super quick thing to cook. I'll be right back in a second. I'm going to the pantry and I'm going to get some beans. I'll be right back. And I always want to kind of wipe off the top just in case any dust gets on it. And that way the dust is not going to get into your food. This is going to be pork and beans. Just happens to have a flip top to it. That's what I like about Albertville Foodland. They come up with the best stuff. Okay, just plain old basic pork and beans. And like I said, you can use, you could probably even use lima beans if you wanted to. But I've made it with pintos and navy beans. I mean, really, navy beans, that's what pork and beans are. They're just, all they are is just navy beans with some tomato sauce on them. Ah, now that's looking like Malene's Beanie Burger. That's looking so good. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cook it just for a few more minutes. Now, in a previous show, I made some maple syrup. So I want to show you what this maple syrup looks like, okay? So I'm going to get my little ladle. This is the little wooden ladle spoon. And I want to show you how this looks. This turned out really good. I think in the morning, Phil, well, I think he's already suggested that we have pancakes tomorrow. Okay, so it's still kind of warm like. So now remember this recipe for the maple syrup, maple extract, okay, not flavoring, it's got to be extract. So you want to use maple extract, and then you also, and we'll put some in, I bet it'd be really good in these beans, we're going to put some in there. And then you want 1 cup of white sugar, 1 cup of water, and you want 2 cups of brown sugar. Make sure it's the dark brown sugar too, okay? It just makes all the difference in the world. It also makes it a little bit thicker. So watch this. You're going to get a kick. Now that's some good syrup right there. Look at there. And it's good in everything. And what I do a lot of times too, when I'm cooking, I'll add either some honey, because you know we're beekeepers and we got bees, And, okay, I can't let that go to waste. You know what I'm going to do, don't you? Mmm. That's super good. See how thick that is? It's pretty cool. And so you boil this for about 5 to 6 minutes. And it's really good. Okay, now you know how I am about not wasting anything. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn this up just a little bit. So I'm going to go on ahead and with my ladle, see, I'm not wasting any of that maple syrup. And you got all that really good flavor going in there. Okay, now I'm going to use my ladle and I'm going to add just a little bit more water. Okay, now I've got something else I want to show you. In a previous episode, Malene and Lester always had cheese. Okay, now it's really good sharp cheddar cheese is always good. But I like, and I love sharp cheddar cheese, but I really do like Velveeta type cheese. Now this needs to set a little bit longer. It really needs to set overnight. But I just wanted to show you what this looks like, and this is what we made in a previous episode. Look at that. Is that not, that's Velveeta cheese. This has, I think it was 2 cups. Let's eat a little bit of that. It's super good. So what I added was a packet of Knox unflavored gelatin. And with that, I added, now I put all of this in a blender. And then I had 2 cups, and I did kind of heaping cups, okay? So 2 cups of cheese, and a cup of boiling water had to go in there. And then I also had some cheese powder, and I also had 6 tablespoons of it's kind of like the high fat content powdered milk. I think they still make it. It's a Gerald's milk. It's when I was a kid growing up. We kind of went through this issue in politics, and so supplies kind of like now, and supplies were hard to find, and gas prices were weird, and they were rationing gas during that time for your car. And so, you know, supply chain kind of gets a little disrupted when something like that happens. So we had some issues back in the 1970s too. So what Mother would do is buy Gerald's milk powder, because we grew up drinking milk whether we liked it or not, because it builds good, strong bones. Maybe that's why I'm so healthy. And so we would have that in case we couldn't find milk. Mother would get the Gerald's milk powders out. I tell you, it wasn't the same. It wasn't like, you know, a jug that you find in a grocery store. But it could have been because she was being skimpy on it, and she didn't put as much of the powders that she probably could have. But we baked with it. But there's another company I like to buy from, and it's called Judy's. And Judy's is JUDEES.com. And you can find out if you're a prepper and you like to get things, you like to put it up, and you like powdered type products, their milk tastes just like you just bought it out of the grocery store or a farmer has just had it. And that's where I get my dried milk. And also you can get I've got all kinds of powders. You can get the cheese powder I was telling you about. It's a cheddar cheese powder, and that's what I put in the Velveeta cheese. And it called for just about a 1/4 cup of that. So anyway, you mix it all up in a little blender, and it starts getting really thick, and you want to put it in something where it'll kind of gel, and this makes the absolute best grilled cheese sandwiches. Okay, I'm about to let you go. I just wanted to let you see Malene's Beanie Burger, world famous. I think people would come to that church and it was Hopeful Baptist Church. I think people went to Hopeful Baptist Church on singing Sundays just so they could get some of that Beanie Burger. I'm pretty sure of it. Now, this is really good served with a salad. I like mine that way. Lester would get some of the cheddar cheese and just kind of shave it and put it on top of his. I always like mine that way too. But anyway, this is the simple, easy Beanie Burger. Oh, and by the way, if there's enough left over for leftovers, this will keep like 2 or 3 days, and I wouldn't go past 4 days. But if you can get it to last 4 days, it gets even better in taste. So those flavors just kind of seep in there. So we're not going to have this for supper tonight. So what I'm going to do is put this is going to be enough to last us about 3 meals. And so what I'm going to do is put it in 3 containers and put those in the freezer. And then I've got 2 meals cooked ahead. And then what I'll do, maybe one day next week, I'll go ahead and get it out of the freezer. I'll get one out of the freezer. And I'm going ahead and turn him off. He's done. And then I'll get it out of the freezer and make a little side salad. And that'll be really good, be a good supper. You can do some toast if you want to do garlic bread. That's always good with it too. Just plain old pickles with it's good to me. Just eat it that way. But just use your imagination. And you can cook. You don't have to go out to eat every single night. You know, a lot of you don't like to. I love to go out to eat, okay, but not every single night. Too tired, you know what I mean? So anyway, these are real simple ingredients. And again, I want to mention Lone Tree Ranch. And they're located in Collinsville. Lookout Mountain is where they're located. It's kind of halfway between Fort Payne and Collinsville. And the telephone number there is 256-523-6462. That's 256-523-6462. And again, it's local ranged, and there's whole and half available. Go in with a couple of friends if you don't have enough room in your freezer, and you'll get some awesome good meat. Don and Judy Clinton are the owners, and they're awesome people. As a matter of fact, Don pastors the church we go to, Lookout Mountain Cowboy Church. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you, and I know you could be doing anything else, but you're watching me mess around in the kitchen, and I definitely appreciate that. You take care, and I look forward to seeing you a little bit later. Thanks for watching. Oh, and also Melinda and Jerry and Tommy and Ricky. If you can give me any hints about how Malene made this really good beanie burger, let me know, okay? Y'all take care.
I said, God, you gotta move this mountain. I just don't see it